Valria walked slowly through the crowded alien market. Her hood was up, her head was low, but nothing could hide her body. She was too tall for her kind. Wide shoulders, strong arms, thick legs. Her people didn't see her as beautiful. They saw her as a joke. And today, they were laughing louder than ever. There she is. A voice shouted from one of the vendor stalls. Is that a female or a war beast? Another one said. I heard she broke a chair just by sitting on it. Someone laughed. Valria clenched her jaw and kept walking. Her hands trembled under her long sleeves. She wasn't angry. She was tired. Tired of pretending she didn't hear them. Tired of acting like she didn't care. Every day was the same. Laughs, whispers, cruel jokes. She reached a fruit stall and picked up a glowing purple fruit. The merchant looked at her with disgust. Don't touch that, he snapped. You'll crush it. Valria placed it back. Silently, she turned away, but then she heard it laughter again. Louder this time. It wasn't just a few people. It was a crowd now. They were pointing, whispering, laughing behind their hands. A group of young aliens stood nearby, imitating her walk, puffing their chests and stomping like beasts. One of them even roared. The crowd burst into laughter. Valria froze. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to run. But then, is this how you treat women here? A voice said, calm but firm. The laughter stopped like someone had pressed a button. Everyone turned. A human stood in the center of the street. His skin was tan. His jacket was dusty. His boots were heavy. But his eyes, they were sharp, focused directly on Valria. Captain Ryan. He walked slowly toward her, ignoring the crowd. Valria stared at him, confused. She didn't know him, never seen him before. Why was he? You think this is funny? He asked. The crowd, nodding toward the ones who were mocking her. Is laughing at someone's body a sport around here? The young aliens went quiet. One of them muttered, she's not normal. Double quotes. Ryan didn't blink. She's not supposed to be normal. She's supposed to be her. He stepped closer to Valria. You all right? She didn't answer. She couldn't. Her throat was dry. Her heart pounded. Was this a trick? Was he mocking her too? Ryan leaned down slightly and whispered, you don't have to say anything. Just walk with me, if you want. Valria looked at him. Then at the crowd. Then back at him. And she nodded. He turned. And she followed. As they walked, the crowd moved. Aside, silent, confused, a little afraid. No one dared to say anything now. They kept walking until they reached a quieter street. The market sounds faded behind them. Valria finally spoke. Why did you do that? Ryan shrugged. Seemed like the right thing. No one ever stands up for me, she said softly. They should, he said. You didn't deserve that. She stopped walking. You don't know me. He turned to face her. Don't need to. I saw enough. Valria looked down. They say I'm too big, too heavy, too strong. No male wants someone like me. Ryan stepped closer. Then they're idiots. She looked up, shocked. You're not too big, he said. You're just ... perfect in the wrong crowd. Valria laughed bitterly. There's no right crowd for me. There is now, he said. She tilted her head. Why are you being kind to me? Ryan smirked. Because I can be, because it matters. And maybe because I'm tired of seeing good people treated like garbage. Silence hung in the air. Then Valria whispered, I don't even know your name. Ryan, he said. Captain Ryan. Valria, she said. He smiled. Nice to meet you, Valria. She gave a shy smile back, her first real smile in a long time. Come on, Ryan said, motioning with his head. Let's get out of here. Where? My ship, he replied. You're not safe here. Not alone. Valria hesitated. Then she nodded again. As they walked side by side, the stars above the alien city shimmered like silver fire. For the first time in her life, She didn't feel ashamed of her body. She didn't feel mocked. She felt seen. She felt human. Valria sat quietly on the cold steel bench inside the human ship. Her hands rested on her lap. Her cloak was folded beside her. The engines hummed gently, and the lights above flickered with soft blue glow. She had never been on a human ship before. It smelled different. Not like oil or sweat like her kind's transports. This place smelled clean. Like air after rain. Ryan stood near the console, speaking into a cum. We're taking off. No delays, prepare for jump. He turned and caught her staring. You all right? He asked. Valria blinked and nodded. Yes, I think. You hungry? She hesitated. I haven't eaten since morning. He tossed a packet of food her way. Protein bar, not fancy, but it'll keep you alive. She opened the packet carefully, sniffed it, and took a small bite. Then her eyes widened. It's sweet, Ryan laughed. Yeah, welcome to human junk food. She took another bite bigger. This time, I like it. He watched her eat, then leaned against the console. You can stay here. As long as you want. No one's going to laugh at you here. Valria looked down. Your crew. Will they be okay with me? Ryan smiled. My ship, my rules. The hallway was narrow, lined with pipes and flickering lights. Valria followed Ryan as he showed her around. That's the control room, he pointed. You'll meet the pilot later. Don't let her scare you. She's scary? She's sharp. Not friendly. But she listens to me. Valria nodded. Ryan opened a small door. This'll be your room. She stepped inside. It wasn't large, but it was clean. A bed. A small desk. A light on the wall. Nothing fancy, but more than she ever had. I've never had a bed before. She whispered. Ryan raised a brow. You've never slept in a bed? Only floors or crates. My family didn't care. Ryan didn't say anything. He just placed a blanket at the edge of the bed and said, well, now you do. Later that night, Valria stood in front of the mirror. She wore simple clothes Ryan had given her. They fit snugly around her strong body. For once she didn't feel ugly. She felt strange. Like maybe she wasn't the problem. She ran her fingers down her arms, her hips, her thighs. Thick, heavy, powerful, too much. Or just right. She didn't know yet. She turned away from the mirror, sat on the bed, and curled up slowly. It felt soft, warm, like safety, but sleep didn't come easily. Her mind replayed the voices, the laughter, the shame. Then she remembered. His voice calm, direct. You're just perfect in the wrong crowd. She smiled slightly. Maybe she had found the right crowd. Suddenly clang. A sharp sound echoed outside her room. Then another. Voices. One angry, one calm. Valria pressed her ear to the wall. You brought her here? A woman's voice snapped. That beast? She's not a beast, Ryan replied. She's crew now. She's a joke. She break the ship. You break one more rule, I'll break you, Usha. Silence. Then footsteps walking away. Valria backed away from the wall. So not everyone wanted her here. The next morning, Ryan walked her to the mess hall. The crew was small, 4 members. One was a quiet engineer with cybernetic arms. Another was a twin-headed alien who never stopped chewing something. And then there was her, the pilot. Asha. She had short silver hair, dark eyes, and a face that looked like it never smiled. She stared at Valria, as if she were dirt. Valria kept her eyes down and sat in the far corner. Ryan sat beside her and handed her coffee. Don't mind her, he said softly. She just hates change. I don't want trouble, Valria whispered. You're not trouble, Ryan replied. You're the reason I stopped at that planet. Why? Ryan looked at her. Because I saw someone standing tall while others tried to break her down. That takes strength. Real strength. Valria looked at the cup in her hand. And for the first time, she believed him. But deep in the ship, in the hidden deck, Asha whispered into a calm of her own. She's on board. The enhanced one, just like you said. A pause, then a voice replied, cold and distant. Good, keep her there. Do not let her leave, Asha smirked. Don't worry. I know how to deal with freaks like her. Asha watched Valria from the shadows of the flight deck. The alien girl was sitting at the ship's viewing window, quietly staring out at the stars. She looked peaceful, soft, comfortable, and that made Asha angry. She tightened her grip around her data pad until the screen cracked slightly. The ship used to be her place. Her rules. Her space dock, but ever since Ryan brought her aboard, everything had changed. Ryan smiled more, talked less, looked at someone else. Asha wasn't used to being ignored. Especially not for someone like that. Vel. Rhea had no idea she was being watched. The stars outside the window looked like tiny frozen fireflies, spread across the black curtain of space. She never imagined she'd be out here. She never thought she'd ever feel this calm. But still, her heart wasn't fully at peace. Something felt off. Maybe it was the way Asha looked at her during meals, like she was a problem that needed fixing. Or maybe it was the way the crew went silent whenever she entered a room. Was she truly accepted? Or just tolerated? Later that day, Ryan called everyone to the main deck. We've picked up a distress signal, he said. Cargo ship near the worn belt. Minimal life signs. Could be a trap, could be real. We'll check it out. Do we have to? Asha asked, arms crossed. Ryan gave her a look. We help when we can. That's the rule. Asha smirked. Your ship. Your rules. As the ship approached the damaged vessel, Valria stood next to Ryan, trying to hide her nervousness. You don't have to come aboard, he said. I want to, she replied. Maybe I can help. Asha snorted. With what? Your size? Gonna knock doors down with your hips? Valria looked at her, eyes calm. If I have to. Ryan stepped between them. Enough. Asha turned and walked away without a word. The cargo ship was cold and broken inside. Dim lights flickered, casting long shadows on the walls. The air smelled like rust and burnt wires. Valria moved ahead, her large frame carefully navigating the narrow halls. Suddenly, a loud crash. A beam from the ceiling collapsed, trapping one of the engineers beneath it. Help! He cried, struggling. Asha rushed forward but couldn't lift it. It's too heavy. Ryan looked at Valria. Can you? She didn't hesitate. Valria knelt beside the beam, planted her feet, gripped it with both hands, and lifted. Her muscles trembled. Her teeth clenched, but the beam rose. The crew pulled the injured man out. Valria dropped the beam with a heavy thud and collapsed to her knees, panting hard. Everyone stared at her in stunned silence, except Ryan. He knelt beside her and touched her shoulder gently. You saved him. Valria looked up at him, sweat on her face, chest rising and falling. Thank you, he whispered. She smiled. A real one this time. Back on the ship, the atmosphere had changed. The engineer she saved gave her a shy smile. In the hallway, the cook offered her extra food at dinner. Even the twin-headed alien gave her a respectful nod. But Asha? She was boiling inside. That night, she cornered Ryan in the hallway. You like her, don't you? Ryan blinked. What? That oversized science project. You like her? She's brave, loyal, strong. Why wouldn't I? Asha stepped closer, her voice low and sharp. And what about me? You're a great pilot, but I don't owe you anything else. Asha's face hardened. You'll regret this. Ryan didn't answer. He just walked away. In her room, Valria sat on the bed, unbraiding her thick silver hair. She had never felt like this before, noticed, respected, even liked. There was a strange warmth in her chest every time Ryan looked at her. She didn't know if it was love, but it was something. She'd never had and never wanted to lose. Meanwhile, Asha sat in the lower control bay, speaking into a secure comlink. "She's winning him over," she whispered. "The crew too," a cold voice replied. "Then ruin her. Break her pride. We need her to run." "How?" "Remind her she doesn't belong," Asha smiled. "Oh, I will." Asterisk. The lights in the med bay flickered as Valria sat silently on the edge of the examination bed. Ryan stood nearby, arms crossed, watching the med scanner beep softly behind her. She hated this room, too. Bright. Too clean. Too close to the kind of places that made her. The machine clicked. A screen lit up with her genetic readout, alien letters, human translations, and a red line blinking slowly. Ryan glanced at it, then at her. "You didn't tell me you were engineered." Valria looked down. "I didn't want to." "Why not?" "Because people stop seeing me as me. They only see the experiment." Ryan didn't move. He waited. She took a breath. "My mother sold me to the biolords when I was still in her arms. Sorry I was too heavy to feed." Ryan's jaw tightened. "They took me to a growth facility," she said. "Their goal was to make the perfect female soldier. Strong, fast, durable. But they failed. My muscles grew too dense. My frame stretched too wide. I was labeled defective." Ryan stepped closer. "They called you defective? They said I'd break ships, scare civilians, look ugly. They sent me back. And even my own people didn't want me." She laughed bitterly. "I wasn't even returned to my family. They gave me to junk dealers. I grew up sleeping in boxes." Ryan sat across from her, voice low. "You think being strong is a curse? It made me a monster to my kind." Ryan leaned forward. "To your kind, maybe. But not to mine." Valria looked up, surprised. "To humans, strength is beauty," he said. "Especially when it comes with kindness." She didn't speak, but her eyes burned with something between hope and fear. Elsewhere, Asha was watching again. The medbay's feed glowed on her small screen. Her fists were clenched. She had seen enough. She stormed out of her quarters and down to the cargo bay. There, in a locked trunk, she found what she needed. A syringe filled with liquid metal mannets. Illegal, dangerous, designed to weaken muscle. Strength temporarily. She smiled darkly. The next morning, Ryan assigned the crew a loading job. Heavy crates from the surface outpost had to be brought on board manually shielded tech that couldn't be touched by drones. Valria stepped up. "I'll do it," Ryan grinned. Didn't expect anything less. She moved toward the cargo. Lift, proud and steady. But she didn't see Asha behind her, holding a coffee cup with a tiny drop of silver swimming inside. The moment Valria took a sip, her throat tightened. Her arms felt heavier. Her knees buckled slightly. She shook her head. "I'm fine," she told herself, but something was wrong. Very wrong. She grabbed the first crate. It slipped from her hands. It crashed down. Everyone turned. Ryan rushed to her. "You okay?" I don't know." Asha stood nearby, fake concern on her face. Maybe she overestimated herself. Valria's pride cracked. "I can do it," she said, voice trembling. She tried again, but her arms shook. Her body wouldn't listen. And this time, they did laugh. Not Ryan, but two other crew members. The old laugh, the same sound from the market. Asha didn't stop them. Ria dropped the crate and ran. She locked herself in her room. Her breathing was shaky. Her hands were still numb. Was she really defective after all? Was all of this respect, kindness, Ryan, just a dream? She curled into the corner of her bed, alone again. Ryan came hours later. He knocked. "Valria?" No answer. He waited. Then slowly opened the door. She was sitting on the floor, knees pulled to her chest. "You're not broken," he said gently. She looked up, her voice cracked. "Then why did I fail?" "You didn't fail. Something happened. Something unnatural," She blinked. What do you mean? I had the med unit scan your system again. There were traces of synthetic nanites. Someone drugged you. Her eyes widened. Ryan's voice grew harder. Someone wanted you to lose. Later that night, Ryan pulled the crew together. He didn't accuse anyone. He just said, whoever thinks. Strength is something to fear, shouldn't be on my ship. Asha didn't respond, but her eyes narrowed. Velria, standing at the back, watched quietly. She didn't say a word, but her hands were no longer shaking. The stars over Velton the Ninth sparkled like diamonds, but beneath them, a secret market operated in the dark. It was called the Silence, a place where credits bought anything, weapons, memories, even people. And tonight, it had a new item for sale. Velria stepped off the ship onto the dirt-covered dock, pulling her cloak tighter around her body. Ryan had warned her not to go far, but she wanted air, real air, not recycled filters. Asha watched from the shadows. She spoke softly into her wrist. Come. She's alone. Move now. Velria walked past broken neon signs and buzzing light poles. A few merchants tried to sell her junk. She ignored them, but as she turned into a quiet alley, something stung her neck. She gasped. Her knees gave out. Darkness closed in. She woke up in chains, thick ones. Her arms were bound behind her back. Her legs shackled to the floor. Around her were cages. Alien girls, scared and silent. One sobbed quietly. Another had bruises all over her blue skin. A creature in a velvet robe walked in, flanked by 2 guards. He smiled. Welcome to the Silence. You're a fine addition, my dear. Strong, exotic. There'll be a bidding war for you, Velria growled. Let me out. Oh, I hope you fight, he purred. Buyers love that. Back on the ship, Ryan paced the deck. She's been gone too long. No come signals, the twin-headed alien said. Ryan's face darkened. This wasn't a mistake. This was planned. He turned to Asha. You were the last one to see her. Asha shrugged. She wanted to walk. Ryan stepped forward, eyes sharp. You're lying. Asha smiled thinly. Prove it. Ryan didn't. Wait. He turned to the console. Run a scan for nearby black market signals. Found one, the engineer said. North Quadrant. Unregistered auction, not public. Ryan grabbed his blaster. Prep the dropship. We're going in. The auction began under flickering blue lights. The host walked proudly onto the stage, raising his arms. Tonight, he shouted. A rare creature. Bio-enhanced, strong enough to carry a shuttle. On her back and still untouched. Who will make the first bid? Velria was shoved into the spotlight. She glared at the crowd. They cheered. Her heart pounded with rage. One buyer held up a crystal card. 50,000 credits. Another waved. 60, the host beamed. Gentlemen, do I hear 70? Suddenly, the lights exploded. Smoke filled the air. A loud boom echoed through the chamber. A figure dropped from above, landing hard on the auction stage. It was Ryan, blaster in one hand. Rage in his eyes. You put a price on her? The guards fired. Ryan shot faster. In seconds, the stage was chaos. Screams, blaster fire, chains breaking. Velria, still cuffed, looked at Ryan. He tossed her the key. She caught it, freed herself, and threw a punch so hard it sent a guard flying into a cage wall. The crowd tried to run. Ryan and Velria stood back to back, thought. I told you not to wander, he shouted. She grinned. I needed air. Together, they tore through the auction house. Velria broke locks, freed prisoners. Ryan shot out control panels. By the end, the stage was on fire. The host was in chains, and the Silence had been silenced. They returned to the ship at dawn. Velria walked up the ramp, her cloak torn, her hands bruised, but her eyes calm. Asha waited at the top. Velria stopped in front of her. You did this. Asha smiled. Prove it. Velria didn't answer. She just turned and walked away. Ryan stepped up to Asha. "You're off this ship," he said coldly. "You can't do that." "I just did." That night, the ship was quiet. Ryan knocked softly on Valria's door. She opened it. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Better than ever." He looked at her for a long moment, then said, "You were never a slave." She smiled. "Not anymore." Asterisk. The ship drifted quietly through the stars. Engine hummed low and calm. No missions. No alerts. Just stillness. For once, there was peace. But inside Valria's chest, something strange had started to bloom. Not fear, not shame, something softer, something terrifying. Crew night. Common room. "Be there," Ryan had said that morning, pointing a finger at her with a half-smile. Valria had tilted her head. "What's crew night? You'll see." She had almost refused, almost locked her door and stayed buried in her bunk, but something in his voice had pulled her in, and now she stood outside the common room door, staring at her reflection in the small window. Her clothes were clean, her hair brushed and tied gently behind her head. Still strong, still tall, still wide-shouldered, but no longer hiding. She stepped inside. Lights danced in slow circles around the room. A tiny old music player floated in the air, casting soft tunes. Human jazz, Ryan had called it. The crew was laughing. Eating. Even the engineer was trying to dance with the twin-headed alien, badly, and in the middle of the room. Ryan. He was sipping from a small glass and talking to someone, but the second she walked in, his eyes found her. She froze. So did he. Then he smiled and walked toward her. "You came," he said. She shrugged, nervous. "You ordered me." Was a strong suggestion. "Your suggestions feel like orders." Ryan chuckled. "That's just my charm." Then the music changed, slower now, softer, a kind of warmth in the melody. Ryan held out his hand. "Dance with me?" Valria blinked. "I don't know how." "That's fine." "Neither do I." He took her hand anyway, guided her slowly toward the center of the room. She felt the heat of his palm. His fingers curled gently around hers. He placed one hand on her waist, not afraid of the curve, not shying from her strength. Their bodies moved. Slowly, awkwardly at first. She stepped too fast. He stepped too late. He laughed. She stiffened. "You're not laughing at me, right?" she asked. He shook his head. "Never. I'm laughing because I've never danced with a warrior who looked ready to crush my toes." She relaxed. Just a little. They moved again, one step at a time. Her boots barely brushed his. His eyes locked on hers, and slowly they found rhythm. Time blurred. The noise faded. It felt like they were the only two in the galaxy. He leaned closer. "You know," he whispered, "when I first saw you, I didn't notice your size." She smirked. "Liar." "Okay," he grinned. "I noticed it. But not in a bad way." "Then how?" "In a damn she's magnificent kind of way." She laughed, soft and surprised. "Ryan." "Yes?" "I'm still scared." "Of what?" "That this will end. That I'll wake up back in a cage." He touched her cheek gently. "Then I'll be there in the cage with you." Her eyes burned. But she didn't cry. Warriors didn't cry. But maybe loved ones could. Later, when the music slowed to a stop, Valria stood, alone on the deck outside the common room. She looked out at the stars again. They didn't seem so far anymore. Ryan stepped beside her, silent for a moment. Then, without looking at her, he said, "You weren't made wrong." She didn't answer. "You were just born into the wrong people." She turned to him. "And you're my people now?" Ryan looked into her eyes. "If you'll have me." Her hand reached for his. This time, it wasn't shaking. Asterisk. The sky above Celestra, 9 burned gold as the sun rose behind its icy mountains. The air was crisp, sharp, honest. Valria stood at the edge of a rocky cliff, her cloak brushing in the wind. Below, the human outpost shimmered in the distance, small but proud. She took a deep breath. This was the place. The first planet where she wouldn't be hidden, or laughed at or sold. This was the first place she would walk into. Not as a freak, not as a prisoner, but as his. Behind her, the ship's hatch opened. Ryan stepped out. No armor. No blaster. Just him. He walked up beside her and didn't say anything right away. He didn't have to. She finally turned to him. I'm scared again, of them? He asked, nodding toward the outpost. No, she said quietly. Of being happy. He didn't smile. Didn't joke. Instead, he gently touched her chin and made her look at him. You've spent your whole life being told you weren't enough. That ends now, she blinked. Her throat tightened. I'm not like your kind, she said. You're not, he agreed. You're stronger. You're better. You're everything they're not. She swallowed hard. Then why did they all leave me? Ryan leaned closer. Because they were too small to carry someone as big as you. I'm not. Inside the outpost, the humans stared as the two entered. Whispers floated. Some eyes widened. Some judged. But no one laughed. No one dared. Not with Ryan beside her. And not with Valria standing tall. Spine straight, every step steady. One human. Girl, a child ran up and looked up at Valria with wonder. You're so strong, the girl said. Valria knelt down. You think so? The girl nodded. I wish I looked like you, Valria smiled. One day you will. That night, the crew celebrated at a small campfire outside the ship. The stars blinked slowly above them. Stories were shared. Jokes were told. Food passed around. Valria sat close to Ryan, shoulder against his. She had never felt this. Full. Not her stomach. Her heart. Later, Ryan walked with her alone toward the edge of the trees. He stopped beneath the glowing branches. She turned to him. You think I'll ever stop feeling like I don't belong? He stepped closer. You already belong. You just haven't accepted it yet. She looked down at her hands, strong, scarred, big. I don't look like the other girls. Good, he whispered. I've had the others. None of them ever held me like you do with their strength, their scars, their silence. Valria's breath hitched. You're in love with a broken body. No, Ryan said. I'm in love with the fire inside it. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small necklace. It was simple, just a dark metal chain with a stone pendant. This belonged to my mother, he said. She gave it to me before my first flight. Told me to give it to someone when I was ready to stop flying alone. He held it out. Valria stared at it. Then at him. You giving this to me? She whispered. No, he said. I'm giving myself to you. She didn't cry, but she closed her eyes and let him clasp it around her thick neck. It didn't look delicate on her. It looked right, like it was made for her. Later that night, in her quarters, she looked in the mirror. Same broad shoulders, same heavy arms. Same thick legs, but now there was something different. Not just the necklace, not just the fire in her chest. It was the truth. In her eyes, she was never too big. Never too strange. She was never less. She was always enough. It just took a human to show her. End of story. Question for the audience. If you found someone the world rejected, but your heart knew they were perfect, would you fight for them? Or walk away like the rest? Tell us in the comments.